G'day everyone and welcome to our first Shark Facts video. I'm super excited to be sharing with you facts about the great white shark, which actually happens to be my favourite shark species of them all. And yeah, I know, it's the one everyone talks about, but come on, it's a great white shark! I think the reason why I love this shark so much is that it's the thing that got me into sharks in general, and our oceans as well. It's the only shark I ever heard about as a little kid. Because of that, it's always held a special place in my heart. Besides, these guys are absolute behemoths and have plenty of really cool adaptations that make them the perfect apex predators of the deep. Anyway, I digress. Let's dive into the great white shark. Carcharodon carcharius, more commonly referred to as the great white shark, is a large pelagic shark species belonging to the family Lambdae. In this family, there are 5 species of shark. We have the great white, the polar beagle, the longfin mako and the shortfin mako, and finally the salmon shark. White sharks are widely distributed in subtropical and temperate regions in the northern and southern hemispheres. Great whites are sexually dimorphic, which means that the females get a lot larger than the males because of the fact that they need to actually bear their young. The largest female great white shark ever recorded was around 20 feet in length, but they typically only get around 15 to 16 feet in length. Now the males get a lot smaller than this, they get around 14 feet in length. Now the gestation period for these animals is around 11 months, so these white sharks only reproduce every 2 years or so. Now this comes at a disadvantage for white sharks, as if their populations start to diminish, it takes a lot longer than other sharks to actually replenish those populations. Now let's get into the fun stuff. First up, let's start with feeding and behaviour. Juvenile white sharks will spend most of their time in coastal waters, where they can get a lot of oxygen through their gills and feed on fish and small birds. Now because juvenile white sharks are feeding on things like fish, their teeth are a lot thinner. However, as they get older, they become more of a pelagic species, feeding on sea mammals like fur seals, elephant seals, and sea lions. And because of this, they need quite wide teeth, so they go from really thin teeth to quite wide and triangular teeth. Now, as I said earlier, the smaller white sharks will feed on things like fish and small birds, but what about when they get bigger? Adult white sharks feed on sea mammals like I spoke about, from elephant seals, sea lions, fur seals. They'll also feed on things like stingray, fish as well, larger fish, and crustaceans. Now, great white sharks are in the big 3, the bull sharks, the tiger sharks, and the great whites. Now, over the years, great white sharks have been responsible for around 333 attacks with 52 fatalities recorded. Now, because great white sharks, and sharks for that matter, don't have the best eyesight and rely on their other senses like their electrical impulses, their ampullae of Lorenzini, it's a bit difficult to discern a seal from a human. If you look up on a surfer from underneath the waves, you can see that the surfer on a surfboard looks exactly like a seal. And that's why a lot of shark attacks these days don't result in fatalities, because these sharks end up latching onto people and then letting them go and realizing that this isn't their prey source. I think what people need to start to understand is that these sharks, these animals, these beautiful prehistoric predators are not out to get you. And while they can be dangerous and can cause some fatalities, we're not on the menu for these sharks. Here's where things get really interesting. It was thought for a long time by scientists that great white sharks were solitary predators. However, new research has proven otherwise. Scientists have actually discovered that great white sharks will congregate together to catch their prey, increasing the likelihood of actually getting food. Now this only generally happens between the 2 sexes, so great whites tend to hang around with their own sex. How cool is that? Now let's talk about probably my favourite part, and that is the adaptations. First up, let's talk about those electrical impulses that I was talking about earlier. If you look on the underside of the shark's snout, you can see these little black dots, and these are called the ampullae of Lorenzini. Now, these detect electrical impulses emanating from all living things. Now let's talk about the lateral line. Now the lateral line is on the side of the shark. It runs from the snout to the tail, and it's built up of a bunch of pores. And basically when water flows through these pores, it detects pressure changes in the water, alerting the shark of potential prey or predators nearby. With these incredible adaptations, white sharks can paint a clear 360-degree image of the environment around them in their heads. Have you ever heard of shark burn? Well, let me explain it for you. Now, shark skin is actually made up of a bunch of placoid scales called dermal denticles, little tooth-like structures which actually reduce drag in the water. Now back to that sandpaper thing I was talking about earlier. If you were to slide your hand from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, the shark would actually feel quite smooth. However, if you were to do the opposite of this and go from the tail to the snout, you'd actually burn a layer of your skin off. How mean is that? Another really cool adaptation that these sharks have is countershading. Now, a lot of other animals have this. Penguins have it, orcas have it, and a lot of other sharks have it as well. But it's present on great whites too. You see, if you look at a shark, it has two different colours. It has a darker colour, almost like a black colour or a grey, and then it has a white underbelly. Now this is used as camouflage from prey and predators. If you were to look at this shark from below, say you're swimming around, snorkeling, whatever, and you were to look down, the dark patterning, the dark coloration of the shark's top would actually blend in with the darker water below, and if you were to look up at the shark, the illumination from the sun would actually make the white belly of the shark blend in a lot more. So this actually makes it a lot harder for predators and prey to actually spot the shark. Now the last adaptation I'm going to talk about is actually a behavioural one. Now because great white sharks are ambush predators, they'll actually breach out of the water, surprise attacking the prey and crunching down on them, giving them no way of escape. Now this all happens in the blink of an eye. Can't see the shark coming, it breaches out of the water and it's done for. It's such a brutal method of killing their prey, but I guess it's just how they work. Great white sharks are listed as vulnerable around the world. Thankfully though, in Australia we have a really healthy population of white sharks. Great white sharks have survived for millions of years. They're the face of sharks and I don't see them becoming extinct anytime soon. As long as we continue to keep these predators in our oceans, they'll thrive for years to come. Well, there you have it. There's the great white shark. Thanks so much for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.